Professor Enfu does not speak English, so he record a video. I will play it and then I'll be presenting in English on his behalf. By the way, my name is Zixu. I'm also working in the Chinese Academy of Social Science. Okay, so now let's get started. Dear colleagues, I want to thank the Polanyi Institute for this opportunity to share with you some of my ideas on mixed economy. The title of my presentation is a little bit changed, which is developing a more modern mixed economy that integrates the property right of essential factors and economic regulation. I believe that the mode of resource allocation involves the choice between private ownership and public ownership of production factors and between market regulation and government regulation. A modern mixed economy also has to deal with these two aspects. First, in the property right system of a mixed economy, the relationship between public economy as the mainstay and non-public economy as supplement must be well handled. At the level of property rights, in order to promote high quality development through the construction of a modern economic system, it is necessary to uphold and improve the property rights system in which public ownership is the mainstay, the main body, and state ownership is dominant, and multiple ownership develops together. It should be able to correctly handle the relationship between public economy as the main body and non-public economy as supplement, so as to ensure a solid basic economic system for improving the comprehensive competitiveness of the economic system. In the socialist market economy of China, the relationship between public economy as the mainstay and non-public economy as supplement is a dialectical unity of opposites. Such unity is reflected in the fact that the two can develop together with win-win cooperation at the primary stage of socialism in China. In China's socialist economy, public economy and non-public economy form a development community that complement and enrich each other. As President Xi Jinping pointed out, public and non-public sectors of the economy should be mutually enhancing rather than mutually exclusive and cancel out each other. Both the public economy and the non-public economy are forms of ownership that correspond to the level of productivity in the primary stage of socialism. And the two should compete fairly in areas outside the scientifically established negative list for market access. We should also develop a mixed ownership economy controlled by public capital. The opposition between public economy as the mainstay and non-public economy as supplement is manifested in their different positions within national economy and the constitution. The public sector of the economy has made outstanding contributions to national construction, national defense and security, and the improvement of people's living standard. It is a precious wealth of the whole people. Obviously, the public sector of the economy plays a decisive role in the important areas of national economy and people's livelihood. The vast majority of Chinese enterprises in the Fortune 500 are state-owned enterprises. The public sector of the economy also makes strategic contributions to national security in the special areas covered by negative lists for market access. At the same time, the public sector of the economy lays the material and institutional foundation for the common prosperity of the people. Specifically, it helps eliminate the institutional foundation for exploitation by adhering to the principle of distribution according to labor, while realizing a relatively higher proportion of labor-related income in the initial distribution through establishing a rational proportion of accumulation and consumption. As a contrast, the law of surplus value in non-public economy determines that the principle of distribution according to capital tends to cause polarization between rich and poor, which is not conducive to people's common prosperity and the smooth operation of the national economy. In addition, the dominant status of public ownership creates greater institutional space and forms stronger coordinating ability for better relationship between the government and the market, and for giving better play to the role of the government. It is for this reason that China's constitution stipulates that public ownership economy is the mainstay in the primary stage of socialism, in which state economy functions as socialist economy under the ownership by the whole people and is the leading force in the national economy. Correspondingly, the non-public economy is to take a supplementary position. In the construction of the property rights system of a modern mixed economy, the correct handling of the relationship between public economy as the mainstay and non-public economy as supplement is to adhere to and continuously improve the property rights system with public ownership as the main body, state ownership as the leading factor, and multiple ownership developing together in order to achieve the organic unity of public and non-public economies. At the level of rural collective ownership, we should adjust and deepen the reform of rural collective property rights system and constantly explore and expand collective economy in rural area and cooperative economy in agriculture. At the enterprise level, we should systematically enhance the innovation in and competitiveness in all types of enterprises and form an innovation community with mutual support and coordination among large state-owned enterprises, private enterprises, and small and medium-sized enterprises. On the one hand, we should strengthen the competitive advantages of independent intellectual property rights with the goal of self-reliance with regards to core technologies and famous brands, and with a focus on turning state-owned enterprises into world-class enterprises with global competitiveness. On the other hand, we should ensure the development of mixed ownership economy controlled by public capital based on win-win cooperation and build a community for the development of national enterprises and a community for innovation. In addition, we should also encourage, support, and guide private enterprises, particularly the development of and innovation in small and medium-sized enterprises, promote the benefit sharing mechanism with employees' stock ownership in private enterprises, and establish the reward and punishment mechanisms to achieve honest operation so as to standardize and stimulate the orderly vitality and creativity of the non-public economy. Second, the regulatory system in such mixed economy must also establish a healthy relationship between the decisive role of the market and the leading role of the government. In the area of economic regulation, to promote high quality development through the construction of a modern economic system, we need to focus on the construction of an economic regulation system that gives full play to the role of the market and that allows the government to play a better role. The key is to well handle the relationship between the decisive role of the market, which is based on the law of market value, and the leading role of the government, which is based on the law of state regulation. In China's economic regulation system, the relationship between the decisive role of the market and the leading role of the government is also a dialectical unity of opposites. Such unity is reflected in the fact that both serve to realize the law of proportion, that is to say, the law of proportional distribution of social labor in the socialist market economy. According to the law of proportion, the total labor of society expressed as people, property, and goods should be distributed in proportion to every section of social production and every field of national economy according to the structure and quantity of social needs. At the level of social production, a dynamic and overall balance should be kept between structure of the use value produced and social needs. At the level of national economy as a whole, The multi-structure of various industries and economic fields should maintain an overall comprehensive balance. In China's socialist market economy, market regulation and government regulation can be organically integrated through functional complementarity and coordinated effects. The joint action of the two helps realize the law of proportional development and high-quality development of national economy. This year, China has adopted and started to implement the 14th Five-Year Plan for economic and social development, which is an important carrier and embodiment of the leading role of government regulation. The opposition between the decisive role of the market and the leading role of the government is reflected in the contradiction between their mechanisms of economic regulation. Market regulation mainly depends on the spontaneous function every section of social production and every field of national economy, and aims to realize the short-term interests and the local interests of market subjects. Therefore, in the field of short-term and local allocation of general resources, market regulation can effectively play a positive role in resource allocation. In the meantime, because market regulation has such functional weakness as target deviation, that is, it is difficult to achieve. It is difficult to achieve sufficient employment, price stability, economic stability, balance of international payments and other economic development goals, low speed, high cost, and limited degree. It often fails in the field of long-term allocation and global allocation of some important and special resources. In these areas, the government may help realize long-term and overall interests through a decision-making system with broad democratic consultation and through proactive planning and allocation of important economic resources. On this basis, the negative effects caused by market failure can be corrected before, during, or after such failure. In the construction of a modernized economic regulation system, correctly handling the decisive role of the market and the leading role of the government means an organic combination of these two roles in the allocation of different economic resources. The result would be an economic regulation system with benign complementary functions, coordinated effects, and mutually enhancing mechanisms. The decisive role of market in resource allocation does not mean that market plays an exclusive role. We must establish the general policy of the partially decisive role of the market and give full play to the decisive role of the market in short-term and local regulation of general resources. The government should stimulate the vitality of various types of market subjects by simplifying administrative procedures and delegating power. In the fields where market regulation fails, we should give full play to the guiding role of the government, which should participate in the allocation of special resources, such as public goods and geological resources, and take the initiative to plan for and guide the long-term allocation of many non-general resources, such as those in education, healthcare, culture, urban housing, etc., as well as plan for and guide the redistribution of wealth and income. That is all of my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to the discussion afterwards. Thank you.